No, I'm sturdy like a Millie Rocket. Skin clear, still look young, Andy Miller knuckles. Money in my pocket. Don't call me a money pocket. Engine get to rocket. It sound like a thunder rocket. Yeah, I still love my baby even when it's toxic. Crazy like she Britney, but no, she don't shade the knock. No, Russell Wilson way I get low and stay in the pocket. I get paid and do my dance like a touchdown. Yeah, I can't do no time, don't leave that gun around. In my teens, we were acting up and running around. Now we're grown, still get to it if it's necessary. On the ground from January to January. Never met nobody who retired when they were young. So I guess I gotta get it to the cemetery. Getting paid just for rapping is fun. I let up around a month for February. Told him slide, no electric. It's getting hectic. 777. 777. Yeah. Told him slide, no electric. Yeah. It's getting hectic. 777. Yeah. 777. Couple of them one in my head just to say they did it. Can't lie, I'm so paranoid and the windows tinted. I own everything around me, you can say it's rented. Not talking phone numbers when I'm talking 7 digits. Earn it by the day, every second minute. Used to pay me none, look, now they pay attention. Everybody say they drip, but I banded it. See them copy all the looks, but I stay switching. Pick up the loot and hit the bank. Can never change, still roll the change. Captain say the pay, this ain't the day. They made me wait, I'm breaking chains. Told me feeling bubbly up the rose. Took a minute, but I got it up the slow way. Friends turn the haters till I'm go away. Rappers making shiggy dance like a soul train. Told them slide, no electric.
This is the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
When they wave the green flag, you take off.
Black flag means get the hell off the track.
Get the hell off the track on the black flag.
That's it, you understand me?
Tell me about the checker flag.
I wouldn't worry about that checkered flag, by you, boy.
Well, it's about that time again. It is time for the Revved Up Sports Show on your Monday. Side by side.
I know.
Side by side.
Always weird when...
Side by side, like Bonnie and Clyde and Bo and Luke and all those other people that we like to talk about. This is the Revved Up Sports Show. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee, Rodney Rodriguez, locked and loaded program. A little bit of a quieter weekend, but there's still lots to talk about. Coming up at 6:30, we're going to talk to John Ricketts. He was a winner over at Devil's Bowl in those fast sprint cars. We'll try to get into the mind of a sprint car driver tonight. That's always a great conversation to have right there, isn't it?
Well, especially when we ask them why, and they're like, "Oh, I love speed." It's like, well, then you crazy bastard. That's
it's like speed, yeah, speed. I mean, you can get in a full bodied car and go fast too, but hey, they're the best. I mean, they're the best at what they do. And then coming up around 7:15 or so, we'll talk to Dave Mader, and we're excited about that being a Legends interview. And why we say 7:15 or so, we actually had Dave. Dave was set for 6:30. And then I talked to Dave on Saturday, and he said, man, they want to haul me out to Charlotte to test the ARCA car. So we had to do a little finagling there, but he's still good, and we're going to talk to him around 7:15, 7:30, somewhere in that window. So we had to shift him over to the second hour. So Mother's Day. Hopefully everybody had a good Mother's Day. Hopefully everybody took care of the moms, yourself. What'd you guys do?
I tried to burn down my kitchen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did. I tried to burn down the kitchen. Had some lasagna that we were cooking because my sister came over with her husband and her kids, and as we didn't pay attention to the lasagna enough, and the cheese melted off of the lasagna down right on, like on the actual burner.
Oh yeah.
Not we got the gas stove, so it dropped right in that hole, right where the fire is.
Oh,
yeah,
fire in the hole for real.
Mm-hmm. And it just made the whole thing smoke and get fired up and. It's good, though. The good news is the smoke alarms didn't go off. The bad news is I was kind of surprised the smoke alarms didn't go off because there's a hell of a lot of smoke in there. But, I mean, shit happens.
It's a good way to christen the house right there, man. That's you continue to christen in the right way. I mean, that's how you do these things, man. When you're – I always say, man, when something's going to go wrong, I mean, I always tell the racers, I'm like, dudes, if you're going to crash in style. And that's why when I got that ticket, my wife used my own line on me coming back when I messaged her when I got the ticket on the way to Mobile. I told her the ticket, the speed, what it was, and so forth and so on. She's like, "Well, your own advice right there. When you're gonna screw up good." And that's that's way of life right there.
If you're gonna be good at it or something like that?
Be good at it, man.
Be good at it.
Be good at it, man. If you're going to screw the pooch, screw it hard, and all those good things. If you want to do your Mother's Day shout-outs right there, feel free to do that. Check out the beauty of having when we're both live. I mean, it's the beauty of it. I mean, we're like dual cameras tonight. I mean, there's cameras like all around the studio, and the nice thing is, when we're together, when we're having to Zoom and having to do things like that, it gets a little tougher because we can't utilize a lot of the technology that's in the walls here of the studio.
Well, it happens.
In the walls.
On the walls of the studio. Where we ain't got no banners. Don't forget, if you see the banners and you'd like for your company to be advertised on one of these banners, just let us know. We can easily change these things out. They're just tacked into the walls of the studio. They're not nailed in.
Yeah.
But if you'd like us to nail one of your banners up on the back and be broadcast out to the world, we'd be more than happy to do that.
They're tacked in because if you don't pay your bill, it's easy to pull them down.
That's right.
That's why we do it that way. I do have to thank some fine folks. I'm going to get out of the way here for a second. Where I got the T-shirt from Texas World Speedway, they sent me a couple of stickers. They're like, "Hey, would you like these?"
Nice.
We hadn't had an order for one of those shirts in a while, so we thought maybe we'd send you a little logo. I'm like, "Oh, well, thank you. I'll be sure and get that hung up." So that's a little keepsake there. I wish that I could say it actually came from there, but I can say that, but I guess I've screwed that up by saying that it was from a third-party source. But anyway, good stuff to have in here. But yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to a good weekend coming up. I mean, Bobby and I were talking earlier, so you're going to have, and this is just here, you're going to have Heart of Texas on Friday. You're going to have, I guess, Kennedale on Friday. Then you will have, in this area, you're going to have Cotton Bowl. You're going to have not South Texas. Owen,
yeah.
Apparently. Somebody verify that for me. I was told that Texana's racing this week. I hadn't talked to Owen in a couple of weeks. Then you have Cotton Bowl.
Cotton Bowl, that's a new date that's added. They did a Cotton Bowl?
No, that was on their schedule.
That was on their schedule.
That one was on their schedule.
I must have missed that when I made my little schedule.
And then 37, because 37 moved because they're like cooperating with the other track with South Texas. So, man, that's going to be a lot. That is a lot happening, especially on Saturday.
That's a lot on Saturday.
Yeah. So all of that's happening. Somebody confirm me the Texana, because I don't know. I mean, Phil Whipple said that, just to be full disclosure here on who actually said that. So if that is the case, let us know. That way we can help promote that. Looked like a good weekend out at South Texas. A good night on Friday, as you've got limited modifieds, Craig Oakes, factory stock, Steve Grants, J.D. Legg, and the E-Mod, and then Jerry Walters over in the Bombers, and looked like a good Friday night show, man. Looked like a healthy car count, healthy amount of folks there that wanted to see racing in Corpus Christi.
And well, both nights,
Yeah.
Friday night
Yep.
and Saturday night, both nights were pretty well attended. Got to give a shout out. I feel like we love what our friends at Race on Texas do with the live coverage that they provide, but nothing was more entertaining than trying to listen to Tommy Temple trying to do his commentary during Triton's race. That was a lot of fun to listen.
Yeah.
I saw you got the shout out there on
Yeah.
on Facebook for him, but it was entertaining listening to Tommy. Tommy's got a lot of insight. Tommy's been doing this a long time, so
Tommy could be a race announcer. He'd have to calm down a little bit.
Just
you have to calm down or watch the words. I mean, of course, I say this, and then so the other Friday night at Heart of Texas, we had a demo derby, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be so fun. I had no idea that they were actually going to be rolling the demo derby coverage on Race on Texas. So I mean, I thought they turned it off, and then I'm talking about assless cars and a lot. I mean,
Whoopsies.
It was a lot, and I went up, and my man up there was doing the coverage, and he's like, dude, that was awesome. I was like, oh, thanks a lot. He's like, I'm going to shut the stream off now. I'm like, what? You were live? I was like, dude, how about a warning here, my friend? How about a warning? I will watch my I'll watch my tones here if I know that we're doing this stuff live. But yeah, Triton Temple over Johnny Torres, and it's you go out and you beat Johnny Torres. I mean, that's that's not an easy thing to do. But that was a fantastic race, man.
That was a great race. I'm still surprised after all these years you don't pay attention to the old saying that all the old timers told us, just assume every mic is hot.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I mean.
Well, I guess you were coming over the PA, which you knew that. But
yeah, I mean, I thought it was
maybe it's every stream is live. Maybe that's how.
We need to rephrase that because I mean it wasn't. I mean, after I told him, I'm like, man, sorry about that. He's like, you didn't drop the F-bomb. I'm like, dude, you don't know how close I was because they get a little animated over there at Waco. And one guy told me the other night that I should be sleeping with Wade White and with Shannon Duloc because I talk about them so much.
Well,
never been told that before.
That's an odd compliment.
He didn't mean it that way. He didn't mean it that way. I
That's an odd compliment, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that Saturday, 13:33 showdown. Tanner Whitmire, Jared Maupin second. So Maupin got a couple of seconds over the weekend. As I said, Triton wins, JD Legg again, and then Walters there in the bomber. So you had some back-to-backs there. So great night of action, and I heard a little bit of an emotional night there, obviously with the 13:33 and all of that. I'm just glad that South Texas got a two-night show in, that they were able to get racing, because I mean it seems like with them for this year it's been one thing, it's been another, and it's always tough racing on the coast. I mean, it's always tough racing on the coast, but for them to get a two-night show in and healthy car counts, I mean that's a great way to finally get rolling.
Well, considering how late it is in the season, I mean, it is super late for them to finally get their first race in. Mother Nature has not been kind, especially down on the Gulf Coast. At least Owen's got 3 or 4 races in so far this year, and then, but for South Texas to not have any, that'd be the first 2 they got in. That's not good. Well, I mean, I guess it's good they got it in. Yeah. It's not good that they haven't had a chance to get him in yet.
Mm-hmm. And it looked like plenty of people there. And again, folks, I mean, be smart about your spectating. I mean, everybody respect each other's boundaries. I am pretty impressed that I've seen at most of the tracks. Folks are being, if there are folks with masks and whatever, I mean, just let them be. Just let them do their thing. And that's part of the way that goes. Yeah, a huge show at Boot Hill. And I thank you, Shane, for mentioning that. And that was one of the things that I was really impressed with Friday night at Heart of Texas, is that even with that big $5,000 to win show at Boot Hill, you still had, there were 20, 25, 26 factory stocks. And what was even cooler at Heart of Texas and the winners there, you had Trevor Egbert in the modifieds, the sport mod Jeff Shepard, just took off and nobody could catch him. Stock cars, it was Dustin Mooney with the win. Factory stocks, Ryan Hopkins in a star-studded field. Street stocks, Brandon Hood, that's the class I want to talk about right there, because you had the street stocks there at Waco, the Outlaw Street stocks. That's usually about a 12, 13-car field. Other tracks not racing over the weekend, there were 25. There was almost a B main. One car caught fire, and so couldn't start the B main, so it was only 12 cars in the B main. They all transferred, 24-car start, and that's a really good street stock field, because that street stock is what's so complicated. What I'm finding out with all these dirt tracks, it's like, man, the street stocks are the one that it's like there's gray areas, there's whatever, this track does this track does that, and that's where it gets tricky.
I thought that the street stock rules were pretty close now.
Well, I think here, I think with South Texas and Cotton Bowl and Texana, they're trying to work on that. I'm not sure actually what Heart of Texas does. I'm not really sure what it is. I've always thought that there should be more of those there, but they got to be pretty relaxed at Heart of Texas, because James Honish is out there in a truck. So I don't.
They allow the aftermarket bodies on the street stocks, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everywhere pretty much says you can run those aluminum bodies. So the truck's not that much of a surprise, I guess, as long as it meets minimum weight.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And it's fast. I mean, it's really fast. Over to Asphalt, Cars Tour, Ace Speedway, race at the Ace 125. Lane Riggs finally back to victory lane. Jared Fryer, man, just the story of consistency as he comes home fourth. And it's the Fryer name that we talk about so often. And to watch Jared, I mean, Jared, it's weird because at times, it seems like he may be struggling a little bit, but then when it's race time, he's right there at the end. There he is again, right behind Justin Johnson. Bobby McCarty comes home second. Caden Honeycutt seventh. Caden's lurking. His time is coming.
Those are completely different cars to anything that he's used to running with the power to weight ratio. So he's getting there. he'll get the setup and the footwork coming up sooner than later. I'm almost guaranteed of that.
Mm-hmm. Lots of action over at Nashville, over at Fairground Speedway. You had Sammy Smith in the ARCA East. He wins there. 37 pro late models in the CRA All Stars there. So there you go.
That Coughlin car looked good.
Oh, dude, didn't it?
It looked clean with the even as simple as it was, just two colors, yellow and black.
Mm-hmm.
It looked clean, man. It looked good in all the pictures.
Yep, he wins that 100-lap main event. Super late models: Carson Quapple, Matt Craig, Stephen Nassy, Jake Garcia, who was on here with us last week, and Sammy Smith. So for Quapple to win that one, that's some heavy hitters right there behind him.
Yeah, that was a big race for him to win. Probably the biggest. I would say probably the biggest win of his super late model career anyway.
Yeah, I did see that over at the Bull Ring. I saw at the Bull Ring in Las Vegas. I actually saw this today that Chris Trickle, nephew of Dick Trickle there, that he wins again, and I think he tied himself all time at 10th or so. I think with the great Kyle Busch. Over at the Bull Ring. So good to see those names. Good to see the Trickle name. Good to see all of that. And here when we talk to Dave Mader in just a little bit, good to see you got a guy that's about 65 years old that's still out there racing late models and racing ARCA, beating the kids. I mean, that's good. I mean, there's a good balance here right now.
Well, it really is. I mean, when you have the experienced guys, we're not going to call Dave old by no means.
No,
but,
no.
When you a more gentleman, experienced driver, seasoned works too. With somebody like Dave Mader, then you've got him. He's able to take the kids to school a lot of times. But let's go back to the Bull Ring. As long as they can start having fans at the Bull Ring, I know last year they had to run a couple of SRL races out there that didn't have fans. So hopefully they'll get a chance to get fans. I know Vegas is slowly but surely opening back up from COVID stuff. So. Everybody's on the up and up swing. Looks like everybody's heart's set on the summertime, so they can start getting full capacity and everything else in these grandstands. So it'll be nice to have a hell of a crowd yesterday in Darlington too. That
was good. I mean, that really was good. And with Vegas, you have to know that with Vegas, Mark Davis is chomping at the bit. It's like, dude, I mean, the Raiders, first season there, they couldn't do any of that. I mean, you know that he has to be fired up and ready to go and saying, okay, if we're going to be open, if we're opening casinos and we're doing all of these different things, my brand new stadium needs to be full capacity, and I'm going to fill it with rabid Raider fans because, that little trek right there from California over to Las Vegas. Raider fans, that's one of those fan bases where they are diehard. They weren't excited when the Raiders went to Los Angeles, but I guess that's a California thing. But I think this Las Vegas thing is going to work out really good, and the Raider franchise has to be fired up that possibility is going to be there.
I think so. If anything, the Golden Knights, who have a huge hockey game tonight for the clinch the division and home field ice or home ice for the rest of the playoffs through the Stanley Cup. The Golden Knights have proven that Vegas can support a team, right? You've got enough people with the base in Vegas to where there can still be a home team advantage. It looks like they're talking about bringing in another baseball team, talking about even trying to get an NBA team in Vegas. I don't know where it would come from. Hell, it might come from the San Antonio Spurs. Hell, they sold everything else to the franchise out there in Vegas. They sold the Stars, the women's NBA team to the people that out in Vegas. They sold the Rampage out to the people that own the Golden Knights. So they never could be that. I don't think you'll see it as the Las Vegas Spurs. That didn't make a lot of sense. But
the Spurs aren't going anywhere. They get Pop out of there, and then they'll get everything figured out. But I think what I'm interested to see, because we were talking on the Saturday show, and if you haven't caught the Saturday show, be sure to check it out. HornFM.com and the Horn app. That is the leading sports station here in the Austin area. You can check out Revved Up ATX. It's a show branded a little differently for terrestrial radio. We talk more NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One. If you haven't caught that program, we'd love for you to give us a listen, give us a like, give us a share, all of that. We're going to be all over this COTA thing as that is really starting to happen. But as we've talked about on that show, Bobby, I love your idea when it comes to Vegas, when we're talking about street courses and Chicago and now Mexico City dropping and Denver and all these other places. I would love to see you say it. I'd love to see him in Vegas. How cool would that be? Make that shit a night race.
Make it a night race on the Strip. That would just be, God, that would be so totally cool. And night racing on a street course works. It does take a lot of preparation, but what is it? The Singapore Grand Prix there in Formula One is the one that does the night race over there.
Yeah.
And that race is badass.
So we haven't gotten to talk with this crowd, and we'll ask it here as we have John Ricketts set scheduled for about 11 minutes from now. The new car, next gen car. I ate crow because I wasn't going to be the biggest fan of it, but when you actually put the three OEMs fronts and backs on it, it seemed to make a lot more sense, looking better that way. That's going to be the future of this moving forward, and for short track people. I mean, if folks don't want to admit it, but if you late models and whatever you want to call them, they didn't look like they look now before. I mean, when you talk about stock, late model stock, I mean, it resembles what we see on TV somewhat, or an ARCA car, or whatever.
Especially with the ABC bodies.
Right,
It was all you talk about.
Right.
You talk about an IROC series.
Yeah,
well, that's what every super late model race was. They all had the exact same body. They just changed the different decals up front.
Yeah, and 5-star, and everybody else is just going to follow suit right here because we see the Camaros on dirt, we see these Camaros aftermarket bodies on pavement, short track racing. I like this car, man. I think they're onto something. I really think they're onto something.
Well, we talked about it on Saturday show. They got the Camaro right. That Camaro it is spot on. It looks good, and I'm not openly a Chevrolet fan, despite driving a Nissan. I'm a blue oval guy when it comes to racing because Nissan's not in it yet. But I think that it ends up having to be the Camry. We talked about it before. The nose on the Camry though, when they put it next door to the actual street TRD Camry, they drilled that.
Oh, absolutely.
That is on point.
The tail too.
The tails too. The same thing for the Mustang. I think the problem with the Mustang though is it's modeled after one of those GT 500 Cobras.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's an $80,000 Mustang, but I guess the ZL1 or whatever Camaro, that's an $80,000 Camaro. So
yeah,
I don't know what a TRD Camry costs. I imagine it costs 35 or 40.
It's right in that price range. But even like I have a Camry SE. And even like the XSE, there was actually one in front of me at the car wash on Sunday. And I mean, you look at it, obviously the engine package is a little different there. I mean, it has a little more horsepower than what like a regular SE like mine does. But, it's got dual exhaust and everything and all of that. But I mean, it's still, even to me as just a regular SE consumer with that, I can relate to the brand new car because it it looks like what I have, and mine's a couple of years old, and it's tough to make a 2-door sedan out of a 4-door sedan. That is the challenge, but it does resonate, and I think that's where NASCAR's gonna pay some dividends on the consumer side from this.
Well, I think it goes back. A lot of people talk about back in the '80s when you had the Monte Carlos and the slick back T-Birds and all of that. The cars themselves remind me more of the cars in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Because you could look at it just on the front and know it was either a Thunderbird, a Taurus, or if it was going to be a Monte Carlo, if it was a Pontiac, because before Chevrolet decided to go all in with just Chevrolet, God rest Pontiac's soul. But that you knew the Pontiacs were the Pontiacs based upon the headlights, and now you can easily tell the difference
Grand
between
Prix,
these now.
Well, and the thing is, as I was doing some research on the evolution of the car, I really didn't know this, but I mean, as many folks that really think of the 92 moving forward season, 92 up through the mid 2000s, as kind of the heyday for a lot of younger people that really think that. I mean, those weren't OEM panels. I mean, none of that was OEM. I mean, that was all aftermarket. I mean, that's when they went. I did know that and all of this, but I really thought that they got that from the manufacturer. I mean, I thought they got the side panels and
I thought they got the roof.
I don't know if the roof was either, because about that time is when they started having to fit a template.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the templates designed, and that's when all of that really started working. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I really think that this is going to play out well for NASCAR, and it does. The consumer, the regular person, is gonna see that and say, "Hey, I can drive something like that." Great post right there. I did see 22 E mods at South Texas. Good. That's another class that I mean, it needs a little shot.
They're getting there.
Needs a little shot.
They're starting to build the car count there when they get to run it at Edna too. So they're growing it up. As long as I remember to get Perez's name right and stop calling him Reds, it'll be all right.
I think he was second. A couple of times this weekend. So somebody will have to tell me. So what is the difference with the E mod and the Sport mod? I mean, again, it's another one of those where I have been asked at Texana by new race fans, those two classes look alike. What's the difference? So I don't know. Engine. I mean, I know the drivers are younger.
Yeah,
I definitely know
I
that.
think they run crates.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, I definitely do that. Know that that's the difference there. But somebody explain us the difference with all of that, and then everybody will know. Anybody that doesn't know. But yeah, great showing there. 105 Speedway. You had Ryan Slott, the winner in the modifieds. Garrett Higgins over Howard Willis in the limited modified. So anytime that you beat Howard Willis,
In anything.
Howard Willis jumps in the street stock and comes back and he wins. So works out. It's hard to beat a legend, but apparently Garrett Higgins did beat him in that race.
Well, I mean, it happens. I mean, you know, Howard Willis can run around in a cardboard box and beat 3/4 of the field.
Yeah, absolutely.